Hey, it's morning in the green room. The lights are off. I'm super excited because I'm catching a flight to Pittsburgh to go to Retic-fest. Let's go. Quick layover at the Denver airport. I like any place where I can investigate Illuminati and alien and Freemason conspiracy theories. I've got about half an hour to do so. I'm sure I'll find something. Moving walkways so that I can walk 2 times faster. You think that's human technology? I think not. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go down a Denver airport conspiracy rabbit hole on the internet. It's very silly. Oh, there's Bigfoot. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that I made it to Pittsburgh. So we're all just here parked at this farm that's down the street from Reach Out Reptiles, and we're waiting for a shuttle to take us. But there's your update. I made it. All right, I'll see you there. So these are all Garrett's display cages in this room. These animals don't live in these cages, but he brought them all down so that we could easily take a look at them outside of the breeding facility, which we'll go into that room also, but they just look cool in these display cases. Look at this, more snakes. We got a little front desk, little gift shop situation.
This is looking cool.
This is the entry. This is the entry. I like it. I'm excited. How much work is this? How long have you been working just to prep for Retic-fest?
Oh, I mean, so this is our 4th Retic-fest, so it does get a little easier every year because you like build an infrastructure.
Right.
But I mean, a staff of 10 plus like an additional 5 people that we've hired on for like a week. It's basically a wedding at this point. It's probably going to be over 200 people. Hopefully not too many over 200. People are really bad at RSVP.
Right.
So we never know.
Let's look at the difference between a Karompa and a Kalatoa. I can't really tell the difference, but let's see if we can see something. Check this out. There's a Karompa. Pretty chaotic patterning. I mean, that's what Echo has a bit on her neck, is that Karompa chaotic stuff. Here's our Kalatoa. The pattern on the back is shapes that are less chaotic. I don't know. I can't tell. I'm going to have Garrett tell us. Hey folks, Future Bob here, just editing this video and filling in some gaps, because when Past Bob does an on-location shoot, does he know what he's doing? Does he have a plan at all? No, no, he doesn't. So we're going to fill in some gaps. Karompa and Kalatoa are just localities of superdwarf reticulated pythons. Karompa Island, Kalatoa Island are near each other, but these are thought to be the localities where the smallest of superdwarfs are from, and there's a slight difference in their patterning. So we're just trying to figure out the patterns on these 2 tiny superdwarf reticulated pythons. Then we're going to look at the size differences of superdwarf reticulated pythons. We're going to look at some dwarf retics, and we're going to look at a large mainland reticulated python, and we'll try to figure out which one is better to keep as a pet. You might be able to guess right now, though. Garrett, will you come over here where we have a Karompa and a Kalatoa and tell me what we're looking at as far as the difference between these 2 patterning?
If you're talking about from like a morphological or physical standpoint, the Karompas have a super chaotic pattern.
Oh, that's what I was saying when I showed it before.
Yeah, that's it. And they also are very, very high contrast. See how light and gold the patterning is? And then those amazing, real bright silver sides. They have a lot of the superdwarfs, Karompas and Kalatoas in particular, have like double the amount of pattern of your typical retic, like double the number of saddles, basically. But one of my favorite traits about Karompas is how the tails have these sharp diamonds that bleed down. Over here we've got the Kalatoa. It's going to have a similar chaotic pattern, but one thing that you'll notice, it's not as aberrant. It's much more typical. You can kind of see those diamond-shaped patterns going down the sides. This particular bloodline has some really beautiful vertical, like silver sidebars going up. But see the uniform thickness of the black? It's like 1 scale wide. Looks like someone drew it in with a real sharp.
With a thin Sharpie, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like perfectly placed. They have a lot more of like a gravelly silver color. This one's quite young. So this guy's only about 3 years old, and they kind of silver out as they get older. But the biggest thing to notice between the two, even though they're very closely related, is that uniform pattern and uniform scale thickness. It may not look like too much difference when you see it on a picture in a video or something, but as a breeder, that's a huge thing for selecting different things. If I want a very clean uniform pattern, I can use a Kalatoa like this. And if I want something that looks like an Dvorshak test, I'll use a Karompa.
Right. Cool. Thanks for that explanation, Garrett.
Absolutely. This is the Reach Dreams male. He's kind of everybody's favorite.
What's your guess on how old this male is?
You know, he came in as like a young adult male, so maybe like 8 or something in about 2015.
Okay.
So somewhere 15 to 20, 25 maybe tops.
15, 20, 25 years old, came in as a wild. This is the size. And he's
probably put on about 6 inches in the time that we've had him. So, you know, they do continue growing through their whole life. So he might be 6 feet long now.
That's a tiny snake. So Reach Dreams, did you say Kalatoa?
Yes, he's pure Kalatoa.
This is a totally reasonable animal to have as a pet. So this is still the very beginning of the day. We're going to compare him to Karma, the mainland reticulated python. I also want to see a female adult that Garrett has, just to get a sense of, are the female superdwarfs or dwarf reticulated pythons, are they 5 times the size of a male? We'll see. Is this another wild caught?
No, this is an F1. So both her parents were wild caught. She's a pure superdwarf.
Okay.
One of her parents is known to have come from Kalatoa, the island. The other one was collected from the islands around Kalatoa. So we're not entirely sure.
So like 50% Kalatoa, 50% old school, what we call old school.
Exactly. If I had to guess, I would say it's Coyote, just based on looks alone.
Yeah.
But we don't guess and put that on labels.
Right. And so how old is she?
Now she's about 8 years old. She's a 3-time mom. So this is basically your mature adult female. Like that male I said was probably about that age when we got him in.
Yeah.
And he grew 6 inches.
6 inches, yeah.
In all the years since then, the last 10 years.
Right.
So she'll do that too.
Yeah.
But now she probably is 7, maybe even 7.5 feet long, this snake.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's still a pretty small snake. You know, if you had a 7.5 foot ball python, it'd be huge. But we have ball pythons that are bigger than this girl.
Right. I mean, the thickness alone would be massive. I mean, just a really good in shape, thin, 7-foot snake.
And that's what you want. Is you want muscle but not fat.
Right.
Pack on all the muscle you want, you know, but if they start getting pudgy, it actually is pretty bad for them. In the wild, when you see them, they're always very thin, very muscular. So you want them in shape, but think marathon runner in shape.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not bodybuilder in shape.
Right. And so
you can see how easily she just cruises through.
So she's getting medium rat?
No, she'll eat like a jumbo rat once every other week.
Okay.
So in the wild, they would be eating something about the size of a medium rat. That would be bats. But they get to eat as many as they want, as often as they want. Right. So for us, it's a little bit easier, and it also gives them a break in between digestion to give them a little bit bigger meal, a little bit less frequently.
Right.
But we try to shoot for the same body type as they have in the wild. That's our goal with feeding around here.
Yeah.
We don't try to make them fat so they can breed, or bigger so they can get more eggs out of them, or get eggs out of them earlier. That's not a good strategy for superdwarfs.
Right.
It's better to just let them be active and healthy and breed when they want.
Want to do it today?
What's that?
Want to do it today?
You could. That's what I'm hearing.
I leave super early in the morning tomorrow. Yeah.
Holy weird keeper, you guys.
It smells so good here. They got barbecue going. Check this out. Let's go in the building. these cages are cages that Garrett designed. And so we've got this big room where a lot of the breeders are. And he still is using racks. In some cases, the wild-caught animals tend to feel more secure in racks, which totally makes sense because they are more interested in hiding than anything else. And then the babies, of course, start out pretty well in tubs. But then they get moved to these cages. And more of these are being built. It's really cool facility. So Gary just decides based on the snake what type of cage they should be in. Right behind me, he's building a rain chamber. That whole thing that looks like a big shower is basically a rain chamber for snakes. That's going to be happening soon. Really cool. So this is a dwarf, a Jampea, wild-caught, 30-year-old
Ish.
Female. Very old.
Yep.
That's how big. That's a dwarf, not a super dwarf.
Correct. But I mean, this is the size they've always come in. You know, there's never been, even though Jamps, you know, have like a reputation for getting, I don't know, 10 to 12 feet or something regularly. That's based on the way we have always fed them in captivity. And nobody's really recently grown any Jamps. You know, we have captive bred Jamps here that are now 4 years old and stuff like that, and they're about this size.
Wow.
So I think we have a lot to learn about the art of feeding an animal that is not supposed to be a thick, sedate python the way we think of them. These are supposed to, I don't know if you can tell the way she moves. We always say they're arboreal, but not like a green tree, more like a mamba, where they just glide from surface to surface, spanning long distances, and then hanging on to every little crevice like they would in a cave.
Right.
And that's the way these guys love to live.
Real quick, let's take a look at Echo, my super dwarf that I've been talking about, to get a sense of her size right now while we scroll the horde of keepers over on Patreon. These are the people that support the channel and get extra content and t-shirts and sticker packs and such like that, plus community for doing so. Now, Retic-fest is something that Garrett does for his Patreon supporters. So I'm sure there's a lot of you that are like, I haven't even heard of Retic-fest. It's because it's only for Patreon. I've supported Garrett for a long time on Patreon. I support a lot of my friends on there. And if you like what Garrett does, I recommend that you support him on Patreon. And if you like what Green Room Pythons does, you know, consider going to patreon.com/greenroompythons and supporting this channel as well. And speaking of support, thanks so much to our channel sponsors, Lane Labs, Black Box Cages, and the Royals Project. All right, there's Echo. Let's get back to Retic-fest. The snake that I have here is one of Echo's siblings. This is, I don't even know if it's a female, and she's about the same size as Echo, which is what I was really curious about. We're gonna weigh her though. I think she's a little bit smaller maybe, but so cool to be hanging out with one of Echo's clutch mates. Look at that beautiful snake. It's gonna be tricky.
These really are some of the smallest ones that we've made. This is one of the smallest bloodlines ever, which is why I kept basically all of
the whole clutch. How many in this clutch did you sell?
A couple of males and then one female.
I'm the only one who got a female? Oh man, I feel so.
Well, there is one other person that has a female that I sent him on breeding loan, but you're the only one that owns a female from this clutch.
Gotcha. Hey, little one. Yep.
Let's see. It's a little off balance here. Let me see if I can keep her. There we go.
730. So she's about 100 grams lighter.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'd say, you're doing a great job. I mean, that's obviously not very different at all.
Yeah. I just named this snake for Garrett. This is Emma.
It's official.
I usually don't name snakes that quickly. I usually take a lot more thought than, but it was the first name that came to mind, so I feel like she's an Emma.
She looks like an Emma.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, sometimes you just know.
Sometimes you just know.
So this is another one of the siblings. This is Sam. Now he's bred for us the last 2 years in a row. Multiple females because I'm in love with this bloodline. They're so nice. They're so beautiful. I think it has a lot to do with the Karompa blood in it, right? This is a snake that's been fed very, very heavily because as the males are breeding, we give them frequent small meals. So because they use a lot of calories, especially when they're a really small male and they have to court big females, we try to get a little oomph to them, you know. Hey, Sam. He thinks he's going to eat right now. And that way they can kind of boss those females around a little bit.
Yeah, look at that marble. Oh my gosh.
This would be a big chunky boy.
Yeah.
From the same bloodline. But as you can see, he's still about the 5 foot range.
Yeah.
And again, he bred for us the first time 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, he's bigger than Echo for sure.
Yep. So that's what a very heavily well-fed animal, but again, not pushing them to where they're fat, but you can see the thickness, and actually if you, here, I'll trade you.
Yeah.
If you feel him, he's got girth.
Yeah, and I mean that's the key. With mine, since mine spend so much time outside the cage and they're climbing around the house and everything, they're muscular and dense, you know? Man, what a beauty. What a beauty. Hi, pal. Love this marbling. So cool. So he was breeding at 1.5 years.
2 years old, yeah.
2 years old, and now he's 3. He's breeding this year.
Want to see a baby?
Yeah.
Here's Dad. Here's baby.
So this is Sam's baby, meaning, is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
So this is Echo's nephew. Look at that cross on his head. I mean, this is what I love about reticulated pythons is when they have that cross. So freaking cute.
4 months old.
Oh my gosh, 4 months?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just a little worm. Wow.
Doesn't the anery look amazing with that marble?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so that's what it is, marble anery?
Yep, 100% head albino on this one.
Come on, that's amazing. What a beauty. You're holding this one back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Love it. I love seeing Echo's relatives. Ed and Emily are about to do a talk for us here. I don't know what subject specifically they're going to talk on. What I hope, though, is that they're going to talk about how to effectively wrap a vehicle so that their business is always seen on the road. If it's not that, I'm going to be really disappointed. Okay, we're getting Karma out. This should be fun.
Good? You got the tail out yet? Alright.
You guys remember the superdwarfs that we were showing earlier? This is a different snake experience than a superdwarf.
Is it like
Oh, sorry about that. That's right.
21 feet, yes, sir.
What does she weigh, Garrett?
Well, she was close to 200 pounds, but then she indicated her own age.
So now she's like 175. She's heavy, but at least she's really strong. Karma just had a clutch of babies, and I'm really excited to report that I just picked one out, and I gave my card. Really excited about this. I just want to get a sense of what that baby might be like when they're older. We're just gonna get this. Okay. So if I were to need to take a snake somewhere on my own, you know what? Ashley, don't run my credit card. Did she run my card already? Yep. I'm gonna change my mind, I think, on this one. So this has been an incredible time at Reach Out Reptiles headquarters. I highly recommend that if you can get out here and see this facility in person, do so. I'm going to stick around for a while. I think there's going to be people here into the night, but I wanted to do the sign off before the sun went down. So Thanks for watching. See you next week.